Keela's hand shook as she held the cardboard box with her belongings. The grand corporate tower's reception hallway, with its Italian marble floors and smoked glass walls, seemed longer than ever. Behind her, the shrill voice of Patricia Mendes, the human resources manager, echoed through the lobby like a siren of public shame. "You can take your things, Keela. Considering the seriousness of what happened, you should be grateful that we did not respond criminally." Keela stopped. He took a deep breath. He turned around slowly, his eyes teary but his voice firm. "I didn't do anything you're accusing me of. I never stole anything from anyone." Patricia crossed her arms, her beige suit impeccable, her red lipstick like a sharp blade. She took a step forward, timing each word so it echoed through the entrance hall. "Cameras don't lie, honey. You were seen accessing the financial system outside of your work hours. Suspicious transfers were made from the Employee Benefits Fund. And the password used? Yours. But I didn't do that." Keela's voice rose, desperate. "Someone used my password. Someone framed me." On the other side of the granite counter, Jessica, the other receptionist, looked away. Quickly, too soon, his fingers tapped nervously on the keyboard, pretending to type something important. Keela felt her stomach turn. Patricia took another step, lowering her voice, but without losing her cruelty. Now it was just up to Keela to listen and feel. "Look, Keela, I even understand. You are a single mother, you live far away, you take 2 buses, life is difficult. But stealing from your own colleagues? That's low even for you." The words cut like glass. Keela felt the ground shake beneath her feet. Around, some employees stopped to observe. Whispers, pity looks, of judgment, of relief that it wasn't them. A security guard approached, his hand on the radio. Patricia made a subtle gesture with her head. "Follow Miss Santos until the exit, please." Keela clutched the box to her chest and walked toward the revolving door, her eyes fixed on the floor. Each step echoed in the awkward silence. She didn't look at anyone. "I couldn't." The revolving door spat Keela out onto the street. The fine rain wet his face, but the tears were hotter. 48 hours before Monday morning had started like all the others. Keela woke up at 5:30 a.m. to the blaring alarm on her cell phone. He got up slowly so as not to wake Miguel, who was sleeping face down on the bed next to him, hugging the faded teddy bear. The 2-room apartment in the Yardim Angela housing complex was small, but it was theirs. She prepared coffee, sorted out her son's school uniform, left the snack ready in the fridge with a note. "Good morning, my love. Mom loves you. Focus on the math test." At 6:15 a.m., Keela was at the bus stop. The sky was still dark. 2 buses, 1 hour and 40 minutes. She arrived at the grand corporate tower at 7:15 a.m., 15 minutes before work, like always. Keela loved those 15 minutes. They were hers. She hung her battered bag in the back closet, adjusted her badge around her neck, Keela S. Santos, reception, and walked to the reception desk. The lobby was empty, silent, bathed in the orange light of the sunrise that streamed in through the 30-foot-high panoramic windows. Keela stopped for a moment, took a deep breath, and smiled. This was the only time the place was hers. She turned on the computers, organized the visitor files, checked the day's agenda printed by Jessica on Friday, meeting with investors on the 12th floor, internal audit in the 9th, lecture on corporate inclusion in the main auditorium. Inclusion. Keela smiled bitterly. 5 years there, 5 years of being invisible. She knew the names of all the executives, the security guards, the cleaners, the delivery people. But how many knew hers? Few. And even those, they pronounced it wrong. Keela. Keela with a Y? No. Keela with I. Keila Souza Santos. Born and raised in Jardim Angela, south of São Paulo. Miguel's mother, 8 years old. Divorced for 3 years. Pedagogy student on weekends at a public university. Fluent in Libras since the age of 16, when he took a free course at the community church to help Donna Joanna, the deaf neighbor who sold dishcloths at the market. But that didn't matter here. Here, she was the reception girl, sometimes not even that. At 8 a.m., Jessica arrived. Straight blonde hair, expensive extensions, perfect nails, impeccable makeup. She left her designer bag in the closet, the same one Keela had seen on sale and couldn't even afford, and came to the counter with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Good morning, Keela." "Good morning, Jessica. Have you seen the agenda? Today will be busy." "Yes, I saw it. I have already separated the visitor files." Jessica picked up the coffee she had brought from the expensive coffee shop on the corner and took a long sip, looking at the raw Keela from the corner of my eye. "You always arrive early, right?" 15 minutes, I like to organize." Dedicated. The tone was ambiguous. Praise? Irony? Keela didn't know anymore. In the last few months, Jessica had changed. Before, they talked, they laughed, they shared the snack. But after Jessica started dating the finance supervisor, Rodrigo, a married man 20 years older, everything became different. Jessica started looking Keela up and down, making comments about your hair. Oh, don't you straighten it? Your clothes. That blouse is from CNA, right? Your life. It must be difficult to raise a child alone, right? Keela ignored it. I needed the job. At 9:30 in the morning, he appeared. A man of about 40, well-tailored gray suit, navy blue tie, leather briefcase in hand, serious expression. He stopped in front of the counter and looked around, clearly lost. Keela smiled automatically. Good morning, can I help? The man looked at her. He opened his mouth. It closed. And then he made a quick gesture with his hands. Pounds. Keela blinked in surprise. He repeated, more slowly, with an almost anxious expression. Meeting, 12th floor. How to get there? Keela's heart accelerated. It had been months, maybe a year, since she had used Libras. But the body remembered. The hands remembered. She raised her hands and responded, truly smiling for the first time all day. Elevator on the right. Press button 12. Receptionist will welcome you upstairs. The man smiled broadly, relieved, grateful. He made another sign. You're the first person who understood me today. Keela felt her chest tighten. Happy to help. Have a good meeting. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart. He waved his hand and walked toward the elevators, his shoulders lighter, his step more confident. Keela returned to the computer, her heart still warm. Jessica on the side rolled her eyes. What was that? He's deaf. He asked where the meeting was. And, sign language? Pounds. Yes, I learned it a long time ago. I didn't know you were so talented. Keela looked at Jessica. There was something strange about the tone, something sharp. But before he could respond, the phone rang. Keela answered. The day continued. She didn't see it. He didn't notice. But on the upper mezzanine, hidden behind an exposed concrete column, a man with perfectly combed gray hair, an impeccable black Italian suit, and an attentive gaze observed everything. Enrique Albuquerque, CEO of Albuquerque Holding, owner of 40% of the shares of Grand Corporate Tower. He didn't look away for a second. He saw the black receptionist raise her hands. He saw the genuine smile. He saw patience, humanity. And when the deaf visitor, Daniel Moraes, one of the biggest investors in assistive technology in the country, entered the elevator, Enrique took out his cell phone and typed something in his private notes. Receptionist, exemplary service, fluent in Libras. Who is this? He went down to reception 5 minutes later, discreetly observing. He read her badge from afar. Keila S. Santos. Enrique returned to the 18th floor and asked the assistant to pull up her complete file. Door. The rest of the day was ordinary. Answer phone calls, target visitors, solve small problems, write down messages, to smile, always smile. At 12:30 p.m., Keila ate her marmitex of rice, beans, and chicken in the employee's pantry, alone, while Jessica had lunch with Rodrigo at the Japanese restaurant in the tower next door. At 3 p.m., an executive ran past the counter and dropped a stack of chips without even looking back. Keila put everything together in silence. At 5 p.m., she picked up her belongings and went home. 2 buses, 1 hour and 40 minutes. The second bus was full. Keila stood holding the strap, her feet hurting inside her worn-out shoe. When he arrived at the apartment, Miguel was already doing his homework at the kitchen table, under the tired gaze of Donatita, the neighbor who took care of him after school. Mother. Miguel dropped his pencil and ran to hug her. Keila lifted him, even though he was already too heavy for that. Hey, my love, how was school? Cool. Aunt said I'm the best in math in the class. Of course it is. Take after the smart mother. Donatita smiled, slowly getting up from her chair. He's a golden boy, Keila. You do a beautiful job with this boy. Thank you, Donatita. How much do I owe you this week? Leave it until next week, daughter. I know it's tight. Keila thanked him, embarrassed, always tight, always in debt, always one step behind. But she didn't give up, because Miguel deserved more. That night after Miguel slept, Keila stayed until midnight studying for the didactics test. The old notebook took 5 minutes to turn on, but she didn't complain. That's what he had. On Tuesday morning, everything changed. Keila had barely hung her bag in the closet when Patricia Mendez. He appeared at the pantry door, his arms crossed, his face closed. Keila, I need to talk to you. Now. The tone was cold, accusatory. Keila felt her stomach tighten. Of course, what it was. In the meeting room. Come. Keila followed Patricia down the corridor, her heart beating wildly. Some people looked. Others looked away too quickly. The meeting room door closed. Patricia did not offer a seat. Keila, I need you to explain something to me. Keila swallowed. What? Patricia turned the laptop screen towards her. On the screen, a bank statement. Transfers, high values, leaving the company's benefit fund for an unknown account. And next to it, a system access record. User, Santos. Password, time. 11:47 p.m. on Sunday. Keela's eyes widened. I didn't do that. No. Patricia tilted her head like a teacher dealing with a child caught in the act. So who was it? Your user, your password, your access. Sunday night. I was at home. I don't even have access to the financial system. I only register visitors. The log shows otherwise, Keela. Someone used my password. Keela's voice rose, desperate. Someone framed me. I swear I never log in after hours. I don't even know how to use these screens. Patricia sighed as if she were dealing with an inconvenient liar. Keela, please, don't insult me. Do you think I'm stupid? I'm not lying. Patricia closed the notebook with a dry click. Look, Keela, I know life is not easy. Single mother, tight bills, child's school, late rent. I understand the pressure, but that doesn't justify stealing from your own colleagues. I did not steal. The evidence says otherwise. Keela felt the tears rise, hot, uncontrollable. Please, investigate properly. Look at the cameras, look at the IP. Someone wants to harm me. I didn't do anything. Patricia crossed her arms. The company has already decided, Keela. You will be fired for just cause, without prior notice. No right to anything. And if you don't leave now calmly, we're going to call the police for embezzlement. The words fell like a hammer. Keela could barely breathe. I have a son. I need this job. I should have thought of that before stealing. I didn't steal. Patricia opened the door. Collect your belongings and leave. Now. And that's how Keela found herself in the hallway with a cardboard box being kicked out of the only job she had. She walked down the subway stairs with her eyes burning with shame. He entered the crowded car on the lilac line. She sat in a corner hugging the box, and for the first time in a long time, Keela Souza Santos allowed herself to cry in public. People looked. She didn't care anymore. She didn't know. But on the 18th floor of the Grand Corporate Tower, in a glass room overlooking the entire city of São Paulo, the company's CEO, Enrique Albuquerque, held a detailed report printed on letterhead. Next to him, Paulo, the IT director, pointed to the monitor screen with a tense expression. Sir, the system was hacked remotely. The IP does not match that of the receptionist. It's a corporate IP, but from another station. Henry frowned. So she was framed? Yes, sir. And her password was cloned at least 3 weeks ago. We have duplicate login records. And who did this? Paulo hesitated, his fingers tapping nervously on the mouse. We are still crossing the data, but there is evidence that points to someone inside, someone who had access to employee records and temporary system passwords. Enrique leaned forward, his eyes sharp. I want names. I want proof. I want complete logs. And I want that by the end of the day. Yes, sir. Enrique turned off the screen and looked out the window. Down below, 18 floors below, a black woman in a worn-out uniform was crossing Avenida Paulista in the light rain, carrying a cardboard box. He recognized her immediately, the receptionist who helped Daniel Moraes, the one who, without knowing she was being watched, showed more humanity in 2 minutes than many executives do in years. Enrique picked up the internal phone. Mariana, track down employee Keila Souza Santos. Full address, telephone number, everything, and bring me her dismissal file. I want to see who signed. Now. The secretary hesitated on the other end of the line. Sir, she was fired this morning. For just cause. Henry gritted his teeth. That's why. I want the process on my desk in 10 minutes. Keila got off at Capão Redondo station at 11:47 in the morning. Wrong time, wrong day, everything wrong. She held the cardboard box to her chest and walked down familiar streets that now looked strange in the midday light. The same streets that she crossed every day at 7 p.m., tired but with her head held high, now welcomed her with the weight of shame. What was she going to say? Are you Miguel? What was she going to say to Dona Cida, for the owner of the grocery store who sold on credit? To the college coordinator who trusted her? I was fired for just cause. Accused of robbery. The words burned just thinking about them. Keila climbed the building stairs slowly, each step heavier than the last. When she opened the apartment door, Dona Cida got up from the kitchen chair, scared. Keila, what are you doing here at this time? Keila left the box on the floor, and it collapsed. Dona Cida hugged her while she cried without asking anything, just holding on, just there. When Keila managed to speak, her voice was broken. They fired me, Dona Cida. They accused me of stealing money from the company. What? Dona Cida pulled Keila away by the shoulders, looking into her eyes. You? To steal? These people are crazy. They said they used my password, that I accessed the system in the early hours of the morning. But I swear I didn't do anything. I know, daughter, I know you don't have it in you. Keila wiped her face with the back of her hand. But how am I going to prove it? They have the records. They have the evidence. Who will believe me? Dona Cida shook Keela's hands. The truth always comes out, daughter. Always. Keila wanted to believe it, but at that moment, it seemed impossible. Miguel arrived home from school at 1 p.m., excited with a crumpled drawing in his backpack. Mother, look what I did for you. It was a drawing of her, in uniform, smiling, with a gold star drawn on her chest. Below, in crooked handwriting, "My mother is the best in the world." Keela felt her throat tighten. She pulled Miguel into a tight hug. "I love you, my son, more than anything in this life." "I love you too, Mom." Miguel walked away, frowning. "Why are you crying?" "It's nothing. It's just, Mom is happy with the drawing." Miguel smiled, satisfied, and ran to the room. Keela looked at the drawing in her hands. "My mother is the best in the world." She had to fight. For him. Agendasim came that night. After Miguel fell asleep, Keela sat on the sofa with the old notebook on her lap. She didn't know what to look for, but I knew something was wrong. Keela accessed the corporate email, still active, probably due to HR forgetting. He started going through old messages, looking for anything out of place. Nothing. Common emails, internal communications, system notifications. She was about to close it when something caught her attention. A message in the trash. Date, 3 weeks ago. Sender, support.tigrandcorporate.com.br. Subject, password reset. Action required. Keela clicked. "Dear Keela, we have detected suspicious activity on your account. As a security measure, we ask that you reset your password by clicking on the link below. If you have not requested this change, please ignore this message." Keela frowned. She hadn't asked, and it hadn't been reset. I had ignored it as the message said, but now, she checked the email header. The domain was correct, but the source IP was internal, from within the company. Someone had tried to steal your password, and he succeeded. Keela felt her heart accelerate. She picked up her cell phone and called the company's IT support. An automatic recording. Opening hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. She hung up, frustrated. Tomorrow. She would call tomorrow. But then a memory hit her like a bolt of lightning. Jessica. Flashback. 3 weeks ago. It was a quiet Friday. Keela had left early, at 4 p.m., because Miguel had a dentist appointment. Jessica was alone at the reception. When Keela returned on Monday, she found her computer turned on. She always hung up, always. "Jessica, did you use my computer on Friday?" Jessica barely looked up. "Oh yes. Mine got stuck. I needed to print some documents." "Why?" "Nothing. I just thought it was strange." "Relax, Keela. I didn't touch anything important." At the time, Keela didn't care. But now, flashback. 2 months ago, Keela was organizing the visitor files when she noticed Jessica writing something down on a piece of paper, fast, hidden. When Keela approached, Jessica folded the paper and put it in her bag. What was it? Nothing, just a message, but the tone was defensive. Too fast. Longer flashback. 4 months ago, Rodrigo, the finance supervisor, passed by reception and stopped next to Jessica. He spoke quietly, but Keela heard. "It achieved? Not yet, but I'll make it. I need it by Friday." "I know." Keela pretended not to hear, but he kept it. Now, alone on the couch, Keela put the pieces together. The fake password reset email, Jessica using her computer, Jessica writing something down secretly, Jessica talking to Rodrigo in code. It achieved? Not yet, but I'll make it. Achieve what? Keela felt her stomach turn. Jessica had stolen her password. Jessica had accessed the system. Jessica had embezzled the money and placed the blame on her. But why? In the next morning, Keela woke up to a message on her cell phone. Unknown number. "Keela, this is Paulo, IT director at Grand Corporate. I need to speak to you urgently. Can we meet today? Please respond." Keela reread the message 3 times. "It director? Why did he want to talk to her?" She replied, suspiciously. "Who gave me my number?" The answer came within seconds. "The CEO. He asked me to look into his case. There are serious inconsistencies in the dismissal process. May I call?" Keela sat up in bed, her heart racing. The CEO? Henrique Albuquerque? Why would he care about a fired receptionist? Before he could respond, his cell phone rang. She answered nervously. "Hello? Keela? This is Paulo, from IT. Thanks for answering." The voice was serious but gentle. "What do you want with me?" "I want to help you. The CEO asked me to review the case of his dismissal, and what I found doesn't add up. Like this? Access to the system was done remotely, from another IP, not from your computer, and the password used was cloned. Someone framed you, Keela." The tears came before Keela could hold them back. I knew it wasn't me. I know, and we will prove it. But I need your help. Do you remember anything strange in the last few weeks? Any suspicious behavior from colleagues?" Keela took a deep breath, and he told everything. The fake email, Jessica using her computer, the whispered conversations with Rodrigo. On the other side, Paulo was taking notes. Jessica and Rodrigo. He paused. That makes sense. Rodrigo has access to the financial system, and Jessica had physical access to her computer. So it was them. I'm still confirming, but yes, everything indicates yes. Keela felt a mixture of relief and anger. And now you stay calm. Don't talk to anyone at the company. Don't threaten anyone. Leave it to me. The CEO will resolve this personally. Why is he doing this? He doesn't even know me. Paul hesitated. He saw you on Monday, helping a deaf visitor. He said you were the only person in the entire building who treated that man with dignity. And when he found out that you were fired the next day, he got suspicious. So he asked me to investigate. Keela couldn't speak. Someone had seen it. Someone had cared. Keela, are you still there? Yes, thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank you when this is resolved. What do you see? In the Grand Corporate Tower, 18th floor, Enrique Albuquerque turned off the intercom and looked at Paulo, sitting in front of him with an open laptop. And then, Paulo turned the screen. Rodrigo Mendez and Jessica Almeida, dating for 6 months. He has access to the financial system. She had physical access to Keela's computer. The logs show that Keela's password was cloned the day Jessica used her computer, and the transfers were made using an automated script running on the internal server. Rodrigo's digital signature. Enrique crossed his fingers on the table. How much did they embezzle? $47,000 from the benefits fund, in 5 transfers over 2 weeks. Where did the money go? Offshore account, but traceable. I have already asked for a judicial block. Enrique got up and went to the window. Below, the city was buzzing. Millions of people, millions of stories. And one of them was Keela. I want them both fired, today. And I want criminal prosecution, misappropriation, ideological falsehood, everything. Yes, sir. And Keela? I already spoke to her. She's shaken, but cooperating. Henry turned around. I want her back. With a formal apology, indemnity, and promotion. Paulo blinked. Promotion? She speaks Libras. She has empathy. She has character. I want her at the forefront of our inclusion program. Doubled salary, complete benefits. Paulo smiled. You know this will cause an earthquake in HR, right? Enrique smiled back. Excellent. It's time to shake up this company. That night, Keela was in the kitchen preparing dinner when her cell phone rang. Unknown number again. She answered. Hello? Keela Souza Santos? The voice was feminine, cold, professional. Yes, this is Patricia Mendes, from Grand Corporate HR. I need you to come to the company tomorrow at 10 a.m. We have pending matters to resolve. Keela felt her blood run cold. What kind of subjects? Legal matters. Please attend. And hung up. Keela stood still, her cell phone in her hand, her heart beating wildly. Legal matters. They were going to sue her. They were going to destroy it once and for all. She sat in the chair, her legs weak, and then the cell phone rang again. Paul. Keela, don't be scared. Patricia called you? Yes. She said I have to go there tomorrow. Will they sue me? No. It's the opposite. The CEO called a meeting. Jessica and Rodrigo will be confronted and you will be reinstated. Keela couldn't speak. Keela, is this real? Yeah, but I need you to trust me. Show up tomorrow at 10 a.m. The CEO will be there. I will be there. And the truth will come out. Keela swallowed. I go. Excellent. And Keela? Yes? Put on your best clothes. You will need it. Keela woke up at 6 a.m. Not because the alarm clock went off, but because he couldn't sleep. She spent the whole night going over every word, every gesture, every detail of the last few months. Jessica using her computer, Rodrigo whispering in the hallway, the fake email, the transfers, the withering dismissal, everything fit. But fitting in was not the same as proving. Keela got up, took a shower and opened the wardrobe. Put on your best clothes. She had 3 options. The white blouse with a little stain on the collar that wouldn't come off, the navy blue blouse she wore in interviews, and the black dress she bought used at a thrift store for her Libra's course graduation. She chose the dress. He passed carefully. He combed his curls. She put on the silver earrings that her mother left behind before she died. When he left the room, Miguel was awake, sitting at the kitchen table in his school uniform, chewing bread and butter. He looked at her and widened his eyes. Mom, you look beautiful. Keela smiled, her heart sinking. Thank you, my love. Are you going to work? She hesitated. Mom will sort some things out, but I'll be back soon, okay? Miguel nodded, returning to the bread. Keela picked up her bag, took a deep breath and left. The Grand Corporate Tower was exactly as she remembered it. Imposing, cold, intimidating. Keela got off the bus on Avenida Paulista at 9:40 a.m. and stopped on the sidewalk, looking at the mirrored glass building that reflected the gray morning sky. The legs were shaking, but she couldn't go back. Keela entered through the revolving gate, past the security guards, who looked at her strangely, and walked to the reception. Jessica was there, on his back, working on the computer, his posture relaxed, his straight blonde hair impeccable. When he heard the footsteps, he turned around and froze. Her face went through 3 expressions in less than 2 seconds: surprise, fear, and controlled anger. Keela? The voice was louder than necessary. What are you doing here? Keela stood in front of the counter, her hands gripping the strap of her bag tightly. I was summoned. Meeting at 10 a.m. Jessica blinked, disoriented. Summoned? By whom? By HR. Jessica looked at the computer, clicked on something, frowned. There's nothing on the agenda. At this moment, the elevator at the bottom opened. Paolo, the IT director, came out accompanied by a tall man, in an impeccable black suit with gray hair perfectly combed. Enrique Albuquerque, the CEO. Jessica straightened up immediately, her professional smile appearing like a trained reflex. Good morning, Dr. Enrique. He didn't even look at her. He walked straight to Kayla. Miss Santos, thanks for coming. Shall we go to the meeting room? Kayla nodded, mute, still processing the fact that the company CEO was speaking to her. Enrique gestured for her to follow him. Paolo followed behind. Jessica stood behind the counter, pale, her eyes following Kayla, until she disappeared into the hallway. And then he picked up his cell phone, typed quickly. Rodrigo, Kayla is here. The CEO is with her. Something is wrong. Line. The meeting room on the 5th floor was large, with an oval dark wood table, leather chairs, and an entire wall of glass overlooking the city. When Kayla entered, there were already 3 people sitting. Patricia Mendez from HR in her usual beige suit and closed expression. Rodrigo Mendez, finance supervisor, in a gray suit, trying to appear calm, but with his fingers drumming nervously on the table. And Dr. Mario, the company's lawyer, a man of about 60, with gold-rimmed glasses, leather briefcase in his hand. Kayla felt her stomach turn. Enrique entered after her and closed the door. Good morning, everybody. Let's get started. He sat at the head of the table. Paolo sat next to him, opening a laptop. Kayla was directed to a chair on the opposite side, facing Patricia and Rodrigo. The silence was dense. Enrique crossed his hands on the table and looked directly at Patricia. Miss Mendez, can you explain to us the process of dismissal of Ms. Kayla Santos? Patricia blinked in surprise. With all due respect, Dr. Enrique, this has already been resolved. The employee was fired for just cause after an internal investigation that proved... Investigation? Enrique tilted his head. What investigation? Patricia hesitated. We checked the system access logs. Mrs. Password Kayla was used for unauthorized benefit fund transfers. The evidence was clear. Claris. Enrique repeated the word slowly as if he was testing the taste. Did you check the origin IP? Silence. Have you confirmed whether Ms. was Kayla physically present in the building at the time of the attacks? Patricia looked at Rodrigo. Rodrigo looked down. We didn't think it was necessary. The password was hers. Paolo, next to Enrique, turned the laptop towards them. So you didn't see that. On the screen, a log sheet, highlighted in yellow, IP of origin of transfers, 192.168.10.47, workstation, financial 03, registered user, R. Mendez. Rodrigo turned pale. Patricia straightened up. That doesn't prove anything. He could have used her password remotely. Paolo clicked on another tab. He can, but that wasn't the case. Here is the password cloning log. September 12th at 4:20 p.m. Someone accessed the reception workstation and copied Ms. Kayla. He rotated the screen again. Video from security cameras. Date, September 12th. Time, 4:18 p.m. The image showed the reception. Kayla wasn't there, but Jessica was. She looked around nervously and then sat down in Kayla's chair. I typed something. He looked at his cell phone. I typed again. And then he got up, quickly, seconds before a security guard passed by. Patricia swallowed dryly. Rodrigo didn't look at anyone. Henry crossed his arms. Does anyone want to explain this? Patricia tried to control her voice. I wasn't aware of that. If I had known, I would have investigated. Enrique completed the sentence, his tone cold. But he didn't investigate. You accused, humiliated, and fired an employee without checking the facts. I followed protocol. Does the protocol not include verifying the origin of access? Confirm physical presence? Listen to the defense? Patricia didn't respond. Enrique turned to Rodrigo. Mr. Mendez, do you have anything to say? Rodrigo took a deep breath, and then he attacked. Look, with all due respect, Dr. Enrique, but this looks like a circus. Kayla was fired because the evidence pointed to her. If someone used her password, that's their problem. She didn't know how to protect her credentials. Kayla felt her anger rising. I protected. You who stole. They stole it? Rodrigo turned to her, his voice rising, aggressive. Are you accusing me of theft? Be careful what you say, okay? Defamation is a crime. Misappropriation too. Enrique's voice cut the air like a blade. And ideological falsehood and sabotage. Do you want me to continue? Rodrigo closed his mouth. Paolo clicked on another tab. The transfers were made to an offshore account registered in the Cayman Islands. Account opened in August this year. Owner, shell company. But the CPF used for opening authentication. He paused. It's yours, Mr. Mendez. The silence was absolute. Rodrigo turned white. Patricia instinctively moved away from him, as if he were radioactive. Henry stood up. Mr. Mendez, you are fired for just cause with criminal proceedings in progress. Miss Mendez, you will be demoted and will have 3 months to review all the dismissal processes from the last year. Any other irregularity, and you leave too. Patricia opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Enrique looked at Keila. Miss Santos, on behalf of the company, I formally apologize for the treatment you received. The lady will be reinstated immediately with retroactive salary, compensation for moral damages, and a new position. Keila blinked, stunned. New position, inclusion and accessibility coordinator, salary of $8,500, full benefits, flexible hours. You will lead our accessibility program, including training in Libras for all employees. Keila felt the tears welling up. He couldn't hold it. I don't know what to say. Say yes. She took a deep breath. Yes. Henry smiled. For the first time. Excellent. Welcome back. Rodrigo stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. This is absurd. You have no concrete proof. I have lawyers. I'm going to sue this company for moral harassment. Dr. Mario, the company's lawyer, finally spoke, his voice calm, almost bored. Make yourself comfortable, Mr. Mendez, but know that we have already contacted the federal police. They will be waiting for you at the exit. Rodrigo froze. What? Currency evasion, money laundering, qualified misappropriation. They are federal crimes. You have the right to remain silent. Rodrigo looked around, desperate, and then he ran out of the room. 2 security guards intercepted him in the hallway. Patricia stood up, shakily, trying to maintain her composure. Dr. Henrique, I really didn't know. I trusted Rodrigo's report. I never wanted to harm anyone. Henry looked at her. You did harm, and he will answer for it. But there's still a chance to fix it. Don't waste it. Patricia waved silently and left the room, her posture rigid, her face red. When the door closed, only Henry remained. Ike, Paolo, Dr. Mario, and Keila. Enrique sat down again, more relaxed. Miss Keila, Paolo will give you all the details of the new contract. If you have any questions, you can speak to me directly. Keila wiped away her tears. Why did you do that? You don't even know me. Henry tilted his head. I saw, Monday morning, the deaf man. You didn't know I was watching. I didn't know anyone was watching. And even so, you treated that man with respect, patience, and humanity. That told me everything I needed to know about who you are. Keila felt her chest tighten. Thanks. No, thank you, ma'am. This company needs more people like you. Keila left the meeting room at 11:30, still dazed, still processing. She went down to the reception. Jessica was no longer there. Another person occupied the chair, an older gray-haired woman who smiled kindly as Keila passed by. Good morning, girl. Can I help? Keila smiled back. No, thank you. I already know the way, and left. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sun ripped through the clouds. Keila took out her cell phone and called Donacita. Donacita, can you pick up Miguel from school today? I'm going to be a little late. Of course, daughter. Did something happen? Keila smiled, tears flowing again. It happened. A lot. But now everything is okay. But as Keila walked along Avenida Paulista, radiant without knowing, in the basement of the building, inside a car with tinted windows, Jessica was frantically typing on her cell phone. Rodrigo was arrested. I'm going down with him. I need to disappear. Call me when you can. She hit send, and then he saw it. 2 men in dark suits walking towards the car. Federal police. Jessica locked the doors, but it was too late. 2 weeks later, Keila was in the new room. It wasn't big, but it was hers. Keila Souza Santos, Inclusion and Accessibility Coordinator. The sign on the door still seemed unreal. She ran her fingers over the engraved letters, her heart sinking. How many times had he cleaned signs like this on the doors of executives who didn't even know his name? Now it was hers. Keila entered and left her bag on the light wooden table. New computer, ergonomic chair, window overlooking the city, a whiteboard on the side wall still empty waiting for your plans. She sat up slowly, took a deep breath, and smiled. But the smile was short-lived. The cell phone vibrated. Message from Paul. Keila, I need to warn you. Jessica and Rodrigo were released yesterday. They paid bail. Private lawyers. They are planning a counterattack. Stay alert. Keila felt her stomach go cold. Loose. She typed back. Counterattack how? I don't know yet, but their lawyer has already filed a request to annul the evidence. And there's more. They're spreading the word that you set everything up, that you seduced the CEO to get a promotion, that you invented the Libras story. Keila read the message 3 times. The hands were shaking. Seduced the CEO. He invented the story. Lies, all lies. But lies worked, especially when they came from beautiful, well-dressed, well-articulated people. Keila put away her cell phone and looked out the window. Below, the city was buzzing. Indifferent. she couldn't give up now, not after all. In that afternoon, Enrique called an emergency meeting, 18th floor conference room, full executive board. Keila was called. When she entered, she felt the weight of 20 pairs of eyes on her. Executives in suits and ties, women in impeccable blazers, all white, everyone watching. She was the only black person in the room, and everyone knew. Enrique was at the head, seriously. Miss Keila, please sit down. She sat up, back straight, chin up. Enrique looked around the table. Gentlemen, we are here because a question has been raised about the suitability of the reinstatement process for Ms. Keila Santos. Some of you have received information. A man of about 55, gray hair, designer glasses, raised his hand. Dr. Enrique, with all due respect, the company is being publicly exposed. Social media is full of comments. They say the employee used charm to get an irregular promotion. Keila felt her blood rise. Henry tilted his head. Charm, Dr. Fabio? Well, those are not my words, but there are those who say that Ms. Keila approached you in a strategic way. Keila couldn't take it. Strategic? I helped a deaf visitor find an elevator. Is this strategy? Fabio looked her up and down. It depends on the intention, doesn't it? The silence was piercing. Enrique slammed his hand on the table. Strong. Be careful, Dr. Fabio. Be very careful with what you are insinuating. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just saying the company needs to protect itself. If there is doubt about the process, we must investigate, or the press will do it for us. A woman on the other side of the table in a red blazer crossed her arms. I agree. We cannot risk the company's reputation because of, well, emotional impulses. Keila felt her throat tighten. Emotional impulses. Translation: you don't deserve to be here. Henry stood up, furious. Miss Keila was the victim of a crime. Crime proven, investigated, documented. She was unfairly fired, publicly humiliated, and framed by 2 corrupt officials. And now you want to investigate her again because a criminal lawyer made up a story? Fabio didn't back down. It's not just the lawyer. There are rumors among the employees. There is discomfort. There is doubt. Discomfort? Enrique walked around the table, stopping next to Keila's chair. Or racism? The silence was absolute. Fabio turned red. I do not accept this accusation. Then explain to me, why doesn't anyone question it when I promote a white man after a good job? Why doesn't anyone talk about charm when Dr. Mauricio was promoted after signing a contract? But when a competent black woman, fluent in Libras with proven character, is promoted, is there discomfort? Nobody responded. Enrique returned to the bedside. Miss Keila stays. The promotion stays. And if anyone at this table doesn't agree, the door is open. Fabio got up. Then I leave. Excellent. He left, slamming the door. 2 other executives followed. Keila was shaking. Henry looked at her. Are you well? She waved, unable to speak. He looked at those who remained. Meeting closed. Keila left the room on wobbly legs. She entered the women's bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and cried. Not out of sadness, of anger, emotional impulses, charm, discomfort. They didn't say the word, but she listened. You don't belong here. Keila wiped her face, took a deep breath, and left. In the mirror, he saw a woman with red eyes but a firm posture. She wasn't going to give up. They wanted her to disappear, but she was going to stay, and he was going to prove that he deserved it. On that night, Keila was at home with Miguel, helping him with his math homework, when her cell phone rang. Private number. She answered, suspicious. Hello? Silence. Hello? A female voice. Distorted. Electronics. You should have accepted the resignation, Keila. Keila's blood ran cold. Who are you? Someone who is watching. Do you think you won? Did you think the CEO protects you? He can't protect you from everything. Leave me alone. Your son, Miguel, right? 8 years. He studies at Colegio Esperanza. Leaves at 5 p.m. Keila felt the world spin. If you touch him, you what? Are you going to call the police? There's no proof. There's nothing. Resign tomorrow, or you will regret it. The call dropped. Keila dropped her cell phone on the sofa, her heart racing. Miguel looked at her scared. Mom, are you okay? She hugged him tightly. Yes, my love. Yes, I am. But she wasn't. Keila called Paulo. He told everything. He advised her to file a police report and install cameras at the school. Enrique, upon finding out, placed private security at the door of Miguel's school, and he doubled the surveillance in the building. But Keila knew Jessica and Rodrigo were desperate, and desperate people were dangerous. 3 days later, the bomb exploded. A report on the Furo Digital Portal, a sensationalist website known for fake news and paid reports. Headline: Black receptionist seduces millionaire CEO and gets millionaire promotion. Employees report scheme. Keila read the article. Her heart shattered. Lies. All lies. They said she invented the story of Libras, that she manipulated the CEO, that she had an affair with him, that the embezzled money never existed, that Rodrigo and Jessica were the victims, and at the end, a photo. Kayla and Henrique leaving the meeting room side by side. It felt intimate. It looked suspicious. Kayla threw her cell phone on the sofa, and it collapsed. Donacita, who was in the kitchen, came running. "What happened, daughter?" Kayla showed the report. Donacita read, her expression hardening. "That's a lie. I know, but people will believe it. Then you will have to prove the truth." "How?" "They have lawyers, money, media. I have nothing." Donacita held Kayla's face with both hands. "You have the truth, and the truth doesn't need money to shine." The following day, Henrique called a press conference. Conference room on the ground floor of the Grand Corporate Tower. Journalists from all outlets. Cameras, microphones. Kayla was backstage, nervous. Paulo was next to her. "Breathe. You will tell the truth. Just that. What if no one believes?" "They will believe, because we have proof." Henrique took the stage. Flashes exploded. He adjusted the microphone. "Good morning. Thank you for your presence. I'll be brief and direct. The article published by Furo Digital is a scam, a coordinated defamation attempt brought by two corrupt former officials, currently under criminal investigation." A journalist raised her hand. "Dr. Henrique, but there are employees who confirm their version. How do you respond?" "With proof." Henrique made a sign. Paulo appeared with a notebook. On the large screen behind Henrique, documents appeared. Access logs, bank transfers, prints of conversations between Rodrigo and Jessica planning the coup, audios, and then the video. The security camera showing Jessica cloning Kayla's password. The room erupted in murmurs. Henry continued. "Miss Kayla Santos was a victim, and I, as CEO, have an obligation to protect my employees. I will not allow an honest, competent, and courageous woman to be destroyed by criminals." Another reporter. "But what about your relationship?" "There is no relationship. There is professional respect, and any insinuation otherwise is defamation. My lawyers are already suing Furo Digital." Henrique looked backstage. "And now, I would like Miss." Kayla spoke for herself. Kayla froze. Paulo pushed her gently. "Go." Kayla took the stage, her legs shaking. The flashes blinded her. She stopped in front of the microphone. He took a deep breath. "My name is Kayla Souza Santos. I am a single mother. I live in Jardim Angela. I take 2 buses every day, and I have never ever lied to get anything. I was unfairly fired. I was humiliated, accused of stealing, and now they're trying to destroy my name again. But I won't give up, because I know who I am, and I have a son who is watching me, and I want him to know that his mother fought. He fought with dignity, and he won." The room erupted in applause. But as Kayla came down from the stage, beaming without knowing, on the other side of the city, in an expensive law firm, Rodrigo and Jessica watched the press conference live, their faces contorted with rage. Their lawyer, Dr. Casio, turned off the TV. He finished. "We lost." Rodrigo punched the table. "No, I won't pay for this alone." Jessica looked at him, pale. "What are you going to do?" Rodrigo took out his cell phone, opened a hidden file folder, and smiled. "I'm going to blow everything up." Rodrigo pressed send. The file with more than 200 pages went straight to the emails of 10 different journalists. Jessica looked at him, pale. "What did you send?" "Internal contracts, balance sheets, Enrique's confidential emails. Everything I managed to copy when I worked there. But that doesn't prove anything against Kayla. It is not necessary." Rodrigo smiled coldly. "You just need to create doubt, chaos, headlines. When the mud rises, everyone sinks together." Jessica walked away from him. "You're crazy. Crazy is whoever thinks he's going to destroy me and get away with it." Rodrigo's cell phone rang. Private number. He answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was calm, firm, known. "Mr. Mendez, this is Delegate Marcelo Santos, from the Federal Police. You have just committed a federal crime. Leakage of confidential corporate data. You can add another 5 years to your sentence." Rodrigo turned pale. "Like you, we have been monitoring your email account for a week. With judicial authorization, everything you sent was intercepted before reaching the recipients." Rodrigo dropped his cell phone. Jessica covered her face with her hands. He finished. Under 2 hours later, Kayla was in the apartment preparing dinner when she received Paulo's call. "Kayla, it's over. Rodrigo tried to leak confidential company data. The federal police caught everything. He's going to be arrested again. Now no bail." Kayla sat in the chair, her legs weak. "And Jessica? He is cooperating with justice. He confessed everything. It was her plan from the beginning. She wanted her position. Rodrigo wanted the money. They came together." "Why?" Kayla's voice was weak. "I never did anything to her. Envy, Kayla. You were respected, dear, competent. She wanted to be you, and when he couldn't, he decided to destroy you." Kayla closed her eyes. "When will the trial be?" "Next week. You will have to testify, but it will be quick. They have already confessed. I'll be there. And the trial took place on a cold Thursday morning. Barra Funda Criminal Forum. Crowded room. Press at the door. Cameras everywhere. Keila entered accompanied by Paolo and the company's lawyer, Dr. Mario. She wore her usual black dress, her hair tied up in a bun, her posture erect. On the other side of the room, Rodrigo was wearing a worn suit, handcuffs on his wrists, deep circles under his eyes. Jessica was next to him, crying softly without makeup, unrecognizable. The judge entered. Everyone stood up. The session started. The prosecutor presented the evidence, one by one. Access logs, bank transfers, conversations between Rodrigo and Jessica planning the coup. Jessica Clonan's video, give Keila's password. The audio of the threat on the phone. Jessica lowered her head. Rodrigo looked at the floor, his jaw tense. Then it was Keila's turn to testify. She took the witness stand, placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor approached. Miss Keila, can you tell us in your own words what happened on the day you were fired? Keila took a deep breath, and he told everything. Public humiliation, the false accusation, the cardboard box, the despair, the fear of losing everything. His voice didn't shake, but the tears came. I have an 8-year-old son. He looks at me like I'm the strongest woman in the world. And that day, when I left that building fired, accused of theft, I felt like the smallest person in the world, because I knew I hadn't done anything, but no one believed me. Nobody listened to me, until someone decided to look. The prosecutor nodded. And would you forgive the accused? Keila looked at Jessica. Jessica raised her eyes, red, pleading. Keila took a deep breath. I don't know if I can forgive, but I know that justice needs to be done. Not for me, but for all the other Keilas that will come. All the black women who will be accused, humiliated, and ignored. Because if they get away with it, the message is clear. Honest people are worth destroying. The room fell silent. The judge banged the gavel. The word is closed. 3 hours later, the verdict. Rodrigo Mendez, sentenced to 8 years in prison for qualified embezzlement, ideological falsehood, threat, and attempted extortion. Jessica Almeida, sentenced to 5 years in prison for complicity, ideological falsehood, and defamation. Both must fully return the embezzled amount, plus interest and monetary correction in addition to compensating the victim, Keila Souza Santos, in $150,000 for moral damages. The hammer hit. Jessica burst into tears. Rodrigo punched the table and was restrained by security guards. Keila closed her eyes, and he breathed. For the first time in months, he breathed deeply and freely. Outside, the press surrounded her. Keila, how do you feel? What are you going to do now? Do you forgive your attackers? Keila stopped in front of the microphones. He looked at the cameras, and he spoke. I feel relieved. I feel seen. And I want to say to every black woman, every father, every mother, every worker who has ever been humiliated, accused, ignored, don't give up. The truth takes time, but she arrives. And when it arrives, it shines brighter than any lie. The flashes exploded, and Keila smiled. Aikiodas. A week later, the Grand Corporate Tower hosted a special event. Main auditorium. All employees summoned. Keila was backstage, nervous. Henrique entered, seriously. Ready? Ready for what? To be officially presented. As coordinator, and as an example, Keila swallowed. I don't know if I can talk to so many people. Henrique placed his hand on her shoulder. You spoke in court. He spoke to the press. Now tell your colleagues. They need to know you, the real Keila. She waved. Henrique took the stage. The auditorium fell silent. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is not an ordinary day. Today is the day this company recognizes a mistake and celebrate a victory, the victory of truth, of dignity, and courage. He gestured. Keila, can you come up, please? Keila climbed up, shaking. The spotlight blinded her. Henry continued. Miss Keila Souza Santos was the victim of injustice within this company. She was accused, humiliated, and fired for a crime she didn't commit. And despite everything, she didn't give up. She fought, and he won. Today, she is not just our inclusion and accessibility coordinator. She is an example of what this company should be. Fair, human, and courageous. Applause erupted. Standing. All stand. Keila looked at the audience, her eyes teary, and then he saw it. In the last row, Miguel, Donacita next to him. The boy waved, smiling widely, his eyes shining with pride. Keila put her hand to her chest and waved back. 3 months later, Keila was in her office, organizing materials for the first Libras course for employees, when there was a knock on the door. Come in. It was Daniel Moraes, the deaf investor she helped months ago. He smiled and signed in Libras. I came to thank you. Keila smiled back, responding in signs. Thank you for what? For treating me like someone That day I was nervous, lost, and you saw me. You really did. It changed my day. And when I heard about your story, I wanted to invest in the company, because any place that has people like you deserves to grow. Keela felt her throat tighten. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Daniel waved and left. Keela was left alone looking out the window. Below, the city was buzzing. But up there, on the 12th floor, Keela Souza Santos, mother, worker, survivor, is finally here. Go in peace. That night at home, Keela prepared a special dinner. Rice, beans, roast chicken, farofa, and even a chocolate cake. Miguel ate until he couldn't take it anymore. Donacita laughed, happily. After dinner, Miguel took out his sketchbook and showed it to his mother. It was her, in a suit, with a golden star on his chest. Below, in neat handwriting, "My mother is the bravest in the world." Keela hugged her son, strong, tight. "I love you, my son. Everything I do is for you. I know, Mom, and I'll be just like you when I grow up." Keela smiled, tears flowing freely. "You're already better than me." 6 months later, the Grand Corporate Towers Accessibility Program was nationally highlighted. 50 employees trained in Libras, ramps installed, adapted bathrooms, audio description in all elevators, and Keela leading everything. She was invited to speak at schools, universities, companies. It became a reference. It became inspiration. But the most important thing, she continued to be herself. Simple, humble, human. A woman who did the right thing when no one was looking, and she was rewarded when everyone looked. Final reflection. Keela's story is not about revenge. It's about dignity. It's not about defeating enemies. It's about staying whole when the world tries to break you. Because in the end, what remains are not titles, salaries, or headlines. What remains is the reflection in the mirror. And Keela could look at hers with her head held high, because she won the right way, with the truth. Blog. 2 years later, Keela was on stage at the Municipal Theater, receiving the Women Who Transform Award, alongside 9 other extraordinary women. Miguel, now 10 years old, was in the front row, wearing a borrowed suit, applauding loudly. Donacita beside him wiped her tears with a tissue. When Keela stepped up to the microphone for her acceptance speech, she looked out at the packed audience and said just one thing: "I'm not special. I am a black woman, mother, worker, who refused to accept injustice. And if I can do it, you can do it too. Don't give up. Never." The audience exploded in applause. And as Keela walked down from the stage holding the golden statuette, she looked up at the sky and whispered, "I did it, Mom. I achieved." And you? What did you think of this story? Keela was humiliated, unfairly accused, and almost destroyed, but she didn't give up. He fought with dignity, and he won. What grade do you give this story from 0 to 10? Leave in the comments what you felt. What was the part that moved you the most? Do you know anyone who has been through something similar? And if you believe that the truth always wins in the end, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and comment. The truth sets you free, because here we tell stories that need to be told. Stories of real people, of fighting, of courage, of victory. Watch the next story now. The black cleaner saved his boss's daughter, but was accused of kidnapping. Until next time. And remember, you are stronger than you imagine.